Hello everyone, so I'm going to take you on a walk through the woods, but I thought I would just, whilst I'm home, show you me spraying the fragrance on. And it actually just arrived today, this sample, and it's Chanel Gabrielle Essence, so it's the flanker of Chanel's Gabrielle. And I signed up for a free sample online quite a long time ago actually, and it just arrived today. So I'm going to spray it quite liberally and see what I think. So I'm going to do my wrists off of camera. I'm going to spray quite a lot, so I've already made a dent in that sample, but I'll spray more all up my arms before I go on my walk. But let's think, what does this smell like? It's very fresh. It smells like grapefruit, bergamot. It's kind of bitter, but not too bitter. Bitter, fresh, a little bit sharp. Girly to a degree, not mega girly at the moment. Doesn't smell too floral at the moment, it's more citrusy. There's a bit of sweet floral, but it's not too strong. And there's a kind of golden hue to the fragrance. It's, imagine the colour of a golden honey. It doesn't smell exactly like honey, but it's definitely got this golden glow to it that's quite nice actually. It does smell like a typical designer fragrance. It certainly doesn't smell strange, unusual, hard to understand, but it doesn't smell cheap either. I mean, it is a Chanel after all. Let's see how we get on once we get out into the woods. So we're about half an hour in now. I'm on my usual path down towards the woods. A little bit cloudy at the moment, although there has been a fair bit of sun earlier on today, so I'm hoping the sun is going to break through. It's trying to get through over there at the moment. So half an hour into the fragrance, and what I've noticed is the citruses still are hanging around, which is good. Freshies you often find with fresh fragrances, and you'll know this, that these citruses don't always hang around too long, because by their very nature they are volatile and dissipate very, very quickly. So the fact that it's still quite fresh and citrusy is really nice. As I was walking along, I was smelling my wrist and thinking about what I smelled before I looked up the notes, and I recognised a peachy quality to the fragrance. Not that it smelled exactly like peach, but just had a peachiness, if that makes sense. So you have the fresh citruses, which, as I said, to me smelled like grapefruit and bergamot more than anything else, kind of a bit bitter. But there was also this honeyed aspect. Not that it smelt like honey, but more like a honeyed floral element, and this golden hue, which was kind of difficult to describe what I mean by that. But the more that I'm wearing it and smelling it and thinking about it, it's almost a champagne feel. So like a sparkly effervescence, which is really nice actually. The florals, I was trying to think, I felt like I could smell jasmine, but not in the very distinct way. If you smell jasmine in Tom Ford's Jasmine Rouge, that is full on jasmine. This smelled like a jasmine combined with other white florals, and actually, when I looked up the notes just now, there is jasmine, but there's also a note called white florals and there's also orange blossom as a note, and ylang ylang, which is of course a yellow floral, but it's still very heady and exotic smelling and kind of fits with almost all white florals. Jasmine goes very well with generally almost all white florals. Now in the notes there's red berries, and I hadn't picked up on that at all. Sorry about that. It got a little bit noisy, so I thought I'd bring you down into the woods. So as I was saying, another listed note is red berries, and I'm not really picking that up. Also blackcurrant, again not necessarily picking out blackcurrant, although I think it lends a bit of a bitterness to the citruses. In the base of the fragrance is vanilla and musk and sandalwood and coconut. Now I've just had another sniff. And it does have a sweetness that has a hint of vanilla to it and a creaminess, and you can tell there's a bit more going on in here than just flowers and citrus. The woodsiness is very understated. The sandalwood, that is, very understated, and I think it's playing a bit of a supporting role, or certainly at the moment, but maybe lending itself to that creaminess. In terms of coconut, no, I'm not getting that at the moment. It's listed as a base note, but with a note like coconut, it's the sort of thing you would notice all the way through. I certainly do. Coconut's quite a pervasive scent, almost certainly synthetic. I think it's nigh on impossible to have a natural coconut scent. But some things can smell coconutty from nature when they're not actually coconut. Example of that is fig. Fig can smell a little bit coconutty. So it's quite possible that the perfumer hasn't used a synthetic coconut, which, as I say, usually a synthetic coconut can be a bit too dominating in a fragrance. It can sometimes cheapen a fragrance. So it's quite possible the perfumers just used other materials to get a coconut effect. But at the moment, I'm not really getting any coconut. Initially, I thought the fragrance was massively citrusy and really just a spring or summer daytime fragrance, an everyday reach. But I'm starting to see it's got a little bit more to it than that, with that sweet creaminess coming through. A hint of woods, a hint of musk. It's actually really nice. I would say I would wear it to work. I would wear it as an everyday doing your chores, hanging around with your friends. Definitely feels daytime still though. Daytime, casual. Possibly I would wear it on a summer night if I want something that's quite fresh out the shower, because maybe it's still really hot when you have your shower in the evening and you don't necessarily want anything too heavy. You want something to keep you feeling shower fresh. Then that could work very well, particularly as it does sweeten up over time. So perhaps once you're out and about, the weather cools off a little bit and your fragrance becomes less sharp and citrusy and fresh and more smooth, vanillic, a bit sweet, yet retaining the flirtiness of the various florals. As a niche snob, this isn't something I would purchase myself, but I'm really pleased to wear it. I really enjoy it. I feel like I smell good. I feel like if a squirrel or a bird could talk, they would probably give me a compliment. But as you can see, there are no compliments to be had out here in the woods on a Monday afternoon in a lockdown. So it's just me and the birds and the trees and the bees and the flies. I may come back with a few more musings in a little while. We're now heading back down the track, back towards my house. And I've just got a few more things to say. The fragrance is made by Olivier Polge, the chief perfumer at Chanel. And it came out last year, 2019. Now, I have now resprayed my right hand because I left that one blank. Now that I know what the notes are, I wanted to smell it again in the opening. See if I can pick out any of those notes or if I have changed my mind a little bit. And actually, I have changed my mind a little bit. There's more to it than just the citruses that I told you about. And I think now that I know there's red berries and blackcurrant, I can kind of detect a fuzzy, musky berry accord that's not massively dominant, but it is there, offering a little more depth, making the fragrance a little more full dimensional than perhaps my initial description did. And you can smell a sweetness straight away. So I think that vanilla and maybe whatever the coconut accord is does come through. Although, as I say, to me it doesn't smell coconutty. It smells sweet and creamy. But actually that sweet creaminess is present in the background right from the start. I just didn't notice it. It's still quite dominant with the citruses. Citrus notes listed as citrus notes, a general term, but also there's petitgrain in here. The petitgrain, as many of you will already know, is extracted from the twigs and leaves of the orange tree. But I don't really pick up on a petitgrain note, because petitgrain can be kind of slightly green and slightly tart. And to my nose, I don't really pick that out. I believe it's just very cleverly blended with the other citruses to just give an overall fresh citrus accord, which is very nice. But this is definitely a lot sweeter than I actually gave it credit for in the opening notes. You can really smell a creamy vanilla aspect to it, but understated. Certainly doesn't go in a vanilla frosting way. It's a sweet vanilla, but it's not quite gourmand. But it's also not the woody, spicy vanilla that's my favourite, that you get from Whispers in the Library, for example. That's my favourite vanilla. The Guerlain vanilla is another one that's my favourite. It's not quite that. So I would suspect that there's vanillin, the synthetic, which is more of a sweet vanilla, probably combined, or maybe combined with some natural vanilla, to take it somewhere in between the non-sweet and the sweet. So it sits just in the centre. It's quite delightful. It actually did remind me a little bit of a Guerlain fragrance I've got a sample of at home. I think it's called Baiser de Russie. It's a cranberry, vanillic, woodsy type fragrance. So I'm going to compare the two because I'm just curious if they are that similar. But because of the cranberry note, it feels similar to the red berry accord in here. So I will see how they compare. Probably not that alike. I'm going from memory. So I'm not really able to tell you about longevity. We are only about 2 hours into the wearing. The projection is light to moderate. It's a polite fragrance. It's not a room filler, and it will not announce you before you enter the room. But it's also been detectable for the duration of this walk. So I'm fine with that. That's fine for me in terms of performance. As I say, longevity, I can't tell you right now, but I can add the information onto the screen when I upload so that you have an idea. If you want a more in-depth review, I would recommend Super Dacob. I think he has actually compared Gabrielle to Gabrielle Essence. I can't remember. If he has, I'll link his video below. He's the Chanel expert. He's amazing at reviewing Chanel fragrances. So I will link his video below. But for now, I'm done. I'm going to get myself home and have a nice relaxing evening. See you all in the next video.